Okay, so you know how last Tuesday Utah passed that law about kid influencers?
Yeah, the one on March 25th, 2025.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
It seemed like something a lot of people were talking about.
For sure, for sure. No, I think what makes it so interesting is the link to the Ruby Franke case.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the 8 Passengers YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of wild to think about it now, but that channel started way back in 2015.
Wow, yeah.
And they got millions of followers.
Right?
Like, the whole family image they put out there seems so perfect.
Totally. And that's part of what made everything that came out later so disturbing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you said, that carefully crafted, wholesome image
Yeah.
just makes the reality so much more shocking.
It really does.
And that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Yeah.
How that case led to this new law in Utah.
Exactly.
And then actually what the law says, like
Right.
the specific details.
Yeah.
So it's really about understanding how we think about kids and online content creation, because this could change things in a big way.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, you probably already know the basics,
Right.
but we're going deeper
Yeah, we're going way deeper.
to figure out the why and the what of
Exactly.
this whole situation.
Yeah. And to do that, we're going to be looking closely at a report from the Associated Press.
Oh, yeah.
That was in U.S. News and World Report.
Okay, cool.
So our goal is to really break down the most important parts of this law, the background that led to it,
Right.
and what it could mean for kids who are making content online.
Perfect. Okay, so let's start with the case itself,
Okay.
the Ruby Franke case, because it was the catalyst for all of this.
It really was
And honestly, the details that came out were really shocking.
shocking. I mean, when her 12-year-old son escaped and he was found with duct tape around his ankles,
Yeah, it's a scary image.
it is. It really is. It kind of gives you a glimpse into what was going on.
Right, and then finding her youngest daughter, Eve,
Yeah, she was only 9.
on a closet with her head shaved.
I know. It's just awful to think about what those kids went through.
It is, and there were serious legal consequences.
Oh, yeah. Both Ruby Frank and Jodi Hildebrandt were convicted of child abuse,
Wow.
and they could each face up to 30 years in prison.
30 years.
Yeah. So that shows how seriously the law is taking this.
Definitely. And when you look at the details from the police reports and even French's own journals,
Yeah.
it just gets worse.
It does. There were allegations of starvation, forcing the kids to do hard labor in that heat,
It's awful.
and even tying the son up with ropes and weights.
Oh my gosh.
They were treating their wounds with things like cayenne pepper and honey.
That's unbelievable.
I know, it's really hard to comprehend.
It is. And then you have the fact that Franca thought her son was possessed.
Right. That just adds another layer to the whole thing.
And it wasn't just the physical abuse.
No, it wasn't.
Her eldest daughter, Sherry, wrote a memoir.
Yeah.
And she talked about how her mom felt this huge pressure to make viral content.
Like she was obsessed with getting that content gold.
Right. And it's interesting how Sherry describes it.
What do you mean?
Like she says it was like they were employees.
Oh, wow.
Their whole lives were being recorded and shared,
Yeah, it makes sense.
constantly being watched.
Yeah.
And Cherie even mentions things that happened earlier. Like she remembers being slapped at 6 years old
Oh,
for not listening. So it seems like this wasn't something new.
right. It's like it escalated over time.
Yeah, maybe because of the pressure of having this online platform.
It's possible.
So that brings us to this new law in Utah. Gov. Spencer Cox signed it, and Ruby's ex-husband, Kevin Frank, really pushed for it.
So for those of you listening, Kevin Franke's involvement is super important here.
Okay.
The law has 2 main parts.
Okay.
The first one is that adults who were in online content as kids can now ask for it to be taken down.
Really, from everywhere online.
From everywhere.
That's a big deal.
It makes Utah the first state to do this.
Wow.
Like to actually make it a law that you can erase your digital footprint.
Yeah, because once something's online, it's hard to get rid of.
Exactly.
And the second part of the law is about money, right?
Right, the financial side of it.
Yeah.
So if parents are making a lot of money from content with their kids,
How much were we talking?
over $150,000 a year,
Okay.
they have to put 15% of that into a trust fund for the child.
Oh, wow.
And the child can get that money when they turn 18.
That's a good idea.
And this isn't just for online influencers.
Oh, really?
It also covers parents of child actors in like TV and movies.
So it's pretty broad then.
Yeah, they're really trying to cover all the bases here.
And you mentioned earlier that other states have done things too.
Right, Illinois and Minnesota.
But they're different.
They are. So in those states, kids can sue their parents if they didn't save their earnings.
Okay.
But Utah's law goes further because it also deals with taking down the content.
Right. So it's more preventative in a way.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk more about Kevin Franke's role in this, because he was a big part of getting this law passed.
He really was. His statement to lawmakers was powerful.
What did he say?
He said, and I quote, "Children cannot give informed consent to be filmed on social media, period. Vlogging my family, putting my children into public social media was wrong, and I regret it every day."
Wow, that's a strong statement.
It is, and it gets to the heart of this whole issue.
Yeah.
Kids can't really understand or agree to having their lives shared online for money.
Right.
And he testified back in February, too, about how much he regrets it.
And the report mentions he filed for divorce.
Yes, and he was trying to get custody of his kids.
Right, but we don't know how that turned out.
No, the court records are sealed.
So it makes you wonder why this is happening in Utah specifically.
Yeah, why is Utah the center of all this?
The report says it's a real hub for family blogging.
It is. It even calls it a hotbed for the industry.
Wow.
And there are a few reasons for that. Like, bigger families are common there.
Okay.
And certain religious communities are really into this kind of sharing.
Right.
The report even talks about the secret lives of Mormon wives.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mom Talk community as examples.
So this whole industry is really strong there.
It is. And that might be why they felt like they needed to do something.
Like regulations were needed.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because the report makes a point of saying that most of this online content creation isn't regulated.
That's true. It's still pretty much a Wild West out there.
Wow.
But with states like Utah, Illinois, and Minnesota taking action,
right,
it seems like this is becoming a bigger concern all over the country.
Yeah, and we can't forget about Eve Frank's statement.
Yeah, that was really powerful.
She spoke directly to the lawmakers.
She did, and she said, "I'm not saying YouTube is a bad thing. Sometimes it brings us together. But kids deserve to be loved, not used by the ones that are supposed to love them the most."
Wow. It's hard to hear that and not feel for her.
It is. It really highlights the vulnerability of kids.
Right.
And how easily they can be exploited on these platforms.
And the Hulu documentary.
Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Frank.
Yeah, that came out right when they were debating this law in Utah.
Yeah, it seems like that documentary got a lot of people talking about the case again.
It probably put pressure on the lawmakers to act.
It's possible.
And just to be clear, we're not taking sides here.
No, not at all.
We're just laying out the facts from the Associated Press report.
Exactly. We're not endorsing any one viewpoint.
Especially considering how sensitive this whole case is.
Right.
So to sum up for everyone listening,
okay,
Utah passed this new law to protect child influencers.
Right.
Because of what happened with Ruby Frank.
Yeah.
The law lets adults ask for content from their childhood to be removed. And it says parents have to put some of their earnings into a trust fund if they make enough money.
Exactly.
And this makes Utah the first state to address taking down content like this.
Which is huge.
It is. It's a whole new world we're living in with all this online stuff.
It really is. And it makes you think about the long-term effects on kids.
Right. Like how being online all the time affects their privacy and how they grow up.
Exactly.
And it goes beyond just the money and taking down content.
It does.
What about the ethics of all this?
Yeah.
Parents and these big platforms need to be thinking about how to truly protect kids and make sure their best interests are the priority.
Absolutely.
It's something we all need to keep thinking about.
Definitely.
So that's it for our deep dive today.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye.